So let's do some climate change stuff. Here's a little talk by Roger Hallam from Burning Pink. Burning Pink is like the Twitter site for his Beyond Politics organization. So basically, Roger Hallam, and I agree with this on many levels, not just a climate change level, but he's basically saying the only way we're going to tackle or climate change or arrest climate change is to literally bring down the government. And I would say you'd have to do more than bring down the government. You have to bring down the corporations that own the government, right? So yeah, the whole structure has to come down in order to create something that is anywhere near functional enough to deal with climate change. Anyways, but let's see if we can listen to this. So it says the doomsday clock is already broken. Our co-founder Roger Hallam explains how the climate clock in New York City is already broken. I covered this yesterday, and how the climate and ecological emergency is already locked in. The time is now, hashtag, to bring down the government to save what we can. Burningpink.org. Hold on one second. Let's see if we can hear this.
Me, 2020 is not the year of COVID. 2020 is the year when the scientific community finally confirmed what everyone knew and what everyone's been saying privately for the last few years, which is basically it's over, right? The ecological crisis is now locked in. The climate crisis is locked in. So there's papers out this year that have said, even if we don't put more carbon into the atmosphere, the Arctic ice in the summer is going to be melted. And I personally had a private conversation with a world expert on Arctic ice, like 2 or 3 weeks before I went into prison. And he said to me, Roger, it's going to be 2025. Like, this guy's been at Cambridge University for 30 years, right? He's not an idiot, he's an expert. The second thing is the ice on Greenland is going to melt. So that's 7 meters of sea level rise, which are locked in, meaning that every single global city is going to get flooded. Right? That's billions of people are going to have to evacuate. It's already happened, right? It's locked in. And this is one of the biggest scandals, is people are being told that you stop putting carbon into the atmosphere and suddenly, like, it doesn't get warmer. It's pure bollocks. Everyone in the scientific community knows there's a thing called the carbon lag. You stop tomorrow, it's like trying to stop an oil tanker, right? The carbon that you've already put in is still got to come out into extra warming. And that's going to carry on. It's confirmed this year. It's going to carry on for another 20 years. That's the extent of the crisis we're in. And that's why people are going to prison. And that's why Burning Pink is like causing a rumpus, let's put it like that, right? Because it's not working. And no one's talking about why it's not working. And we all know what's necessary, which is civil resistance, which means people getting arrested, people going to prison, and doing it over and over again. And Burning Pink is being set up to make clear that morally and strategically, the political class has to be removed. As a class, the whole of the political class is guilty of what's been happening for the last 30 years. It needs to be removed from power. And many of those people need to be on trial. They don't want to be putting us into prison. It's them that needs to be in prison. And they will be going to prison when the great British public finally realise what shit's coming down the road.
More revolutionary words from Roger Hallam. Yeah, I mean, he's doing it. I mean, he is doing it. Right? Rich Diana, drop out of the system as much as possible. I agree with you. So, there are some who are bold enough to speak up about the climate crisis. There are some who are bold enough to say, this is what's happening and this is a serious problem. And even just doing that is a bold move, right? It's a lot. It's a lot for people, because it's a lot for people to take in. It's a lot for people to take on. And so when you talk about it, as the issue that it is with the seriousness that it needs to be addressed with. Um, there are some who go there, and then there beyond that, there are even fewer who are willing to put themselves and their freedom and even their lives on some level on the line in order to do something like as radical as what Roger Hallam is doing. Yes, realize exactly. They will silence Roger Hallam. Count on it. It will only get worse for him, but he seems very intent on going the route he's going, and I admire him on one level. He inspires me. On another level, I'm very frightened for him, and what the future might hold. Andy the Gardener, Russell Brand spoke about revolution. Look what happened to him. What happened to him? I don't know. He's kind of like a spiritual guru guy, and he has a deal with like a podcast company. But what actually happened to him? Did something else happen to him? I don't know. Osama number 5, the revolution will not be tweeted. Anyways, yeah, very few are willing to go all the way out to the ledge, to the edge, like Roger Hallam. And there are so few people who are willing to risk themselves today in order to lead people in the right direction. And so, because it gets harder and harder. And because we've seen what happens in the past, because the evidence is already there that when you speak out loudly enough, when you make enough of a fuss, they will come down, and they will come down hard, right? Salt Lakers, come on, be honest. Are you talking to me? You always wanted to see the end of humanity anyways? I don't necessarily know. No, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see the end of anything. I don't want to see the end of the planet, humanity. Like, I'm not, that's the thing I think that maybe differentiates me from some of the NT HE people, or the doomer class, if you will. Like, I'm not cheering on necessarily the destruction of humans, although, some humans, whatever. Some humans are just clueless fucking morons, but whatever. There's a lot of clueless fucking morons. But I'm just saying, like, I don't want to see humanity or nature or wildlife, or I don't want to see the planet go away. So I'm not cheering that on. I'm not like, woohoo. That isn't, I'm dreading, the Mad Max future that many face, right? I don't want to see that. I don't want to live through that. I don't want to experience that. I'm not into that. I'm just not into that. So whatever. Osama, Doomer class of 2020. Hatsutaki, Doomer class. I think I graduated from that. Right. Hatsutaki, Kevin, we're all CFMs at times. Yes, we are. Absolutely. Ask the animals, industrial humans are the problem. Sure. Clay Bomb, I'd be okay with no humans. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that humans can evolve in a way that would be beneficial for even themselves. But, again, I'm just not going to cheer on, millions of billions of people dying. I'm just not, that doesn't sound like, yay, that's a great time. That sounds like a lot of pain and suffering. And I just don't really, I would never wish that on people. Unless they were wishing it on others. And so, or unless they were just really selfish jackholes. And that in that case, I still wouldn't wish it upon them. I would just be like, well, if you ran into some suffering, it's probably because of your own karma. Whatever. Black Crow, if you had the choice between a Blade Runner, Minority Report, or Mad Max Waterworld future, I don't know. I don't know. Blade Runner, maybe? Blade Runner seems like weird, but somehow people have some I don't know, some kind of agency, but none of that sounds really great. Irk1 says, ally with the impoverished. It is still the 1% versus the 99%. Right. Indeed. Yes, Osama, Blade Runner because of the Vangelis soundtrack. Yes. I'll go with that. All right, let's move on. This is, more frightening news. I was talking and reading an article about the commodification of clean air the other day, and obviously, that is a thing, right? In China, you can buy air, little shots of air, to breathe in clean air amongst the polluted air that so many have to breathe. But anyways, Wall Street, this is from September 18th. Wall Street is set to start trading in a new commodity, water. Uh-oh. If the record heat and wildfires ravaging California weren't clear enough sign that the climate is changing, then consider this. Wall Street is about to start trading futures contracts on the state's water supply. Wow. The contracts are the first of their kind in the U.S. are being created by the CME Group Incorporated, the world's largest futures exchange. They are intended, CME says, to both allow California's big water consumers like almond farms and municipalities to hedge against surging prices and can act as a benchmark that signals how acute water scarcity is becoming in the state and more broadly across the globe. Good God. Water supplies have been tight for years in California, and large parts of Asia and Africa also face the potential of scarcity as temperatures rise. Also, almost 2/3 of the world's population is expected to face water shortages by 2025, according to the CME. On top of the fact that the Arctic ice will be gone by 2025, 2/3. So in 5 years, guys, within 5 years, almost 2/3 of the world's population is expected to face water shortages. According to the CME, water scarcity is certainly one of the biggest challenges facing communities and individuals today across the globe, where currently about 2 billion people are already living in countries experiencing high water stress. Tim McCourt, the global head of Equity Index and Alternative Investment Products at CME, said in an interview, Wall Street first took a significant note of the potential for water after investor Michael Burry drew attention to the commodity 10 years ago when he spoke about investing in farmland with water on site. Yes, so I was about to talk about this guy. Burry, whose bet against the subprime bubble was spotlighted in The Big Short, Inside the Doomsday Machine by Michael Lewis in the 2015 movie, has since exited his water and farm holdings, though he noted last year that there's a lot of demand for those assets these days. Why did he exit these holdings? Did he buy and sell them off? Or what was the reason for this, I wonder? Interesting. What is he doing now? I wonder what this guy is doing now. Or maybe he's just super rich and doesn't matter. Maybe he just has a doomsday bunker and he's good to go. Maybe there's nothing left to do or invest in. I don't know. The futures could be useful as a hedge instrument for firms, including food. So one more note about Michael Burry. So yeah, at the end of The Big Short, they said, he said he was getting out of, whatever he was investing in, these derivatives, and getting into water. So that was years ago. That was 10 years ago. Or over 10 years ago. So he probably already made a lot of those investments and then turned them over. The futures could be useful as a hedge instrument for firms including food and agricultural producers, land lease owners, municipalities, and public water agencies. Good God. It's really a unique mechanism. So, imagine what's going to happen now when the price of water hits the stock market and becomes way more precious than oil, right? What if the cost of water is, $200 a barrel? And they start passing on that cost to you, the municipal water companies where you get your water. Or maybe everybody will be forced to buy their water somewhere else. I don't know. Basil Peterson, thank you for the super chat. No one will dare maintain that is better to do injustice than to bear it. That is a quote from Aristotle. It is better to do injustice than to bear it. Clay Bomb, now he invests in toilet paper. Yes. And wise bet. Really? Right? Osama number 5, you never miss your water till your well runs dry. Tell me, what you going to do when your well runs dry? That's a quote from Peter Tosh. I'm going to keep going on this. It's really a unique mechanism for investors themselves in California to be able to, at the very least, understand and price the risk and potentially hedge the risk of water price volatility, said Carter Malloy, founder and chief executive officer of Acre Trader, a farmland investing platform. The crucial thing is right now we have very little visibility on what water prices will look like in the future. Yeah, but you know which way this is going. Water preservation and distribution could become increasingly attractive as investors like Jeff Ubben, who recently launched Inclusive Capital Partners. Oh, that sounds like such a nice, inclusive. Oh, yeah. Look to tackle problems ranging from environmental damage to food scarcity through their funds. Climate advocates have warned in recent years for the potential of water wars as competition increases. Excuse me. Between needs from agriculture, energy, and growing cities, food production in particular could be vulnerable as drought makes it increasingly difficult to grow crops in many parts of the world, and farmers balance water and land needs with protecting forest in places like Brazil's Amazon. Food is going to be a flashpoint, quote unquote, in the world going forward as climate change makes production more challenging. Carter Roberts, chief executive officer of World Wildlife Fund, said in an interview at the Bloomberg Green Festival this week. CME's contract tied to the $1.1 billion California water market will launch late this year pending regulatory review and will be based on the NASDAQ Veles California Water Index, the Bourse said Thursday. In California, about 40% of water currently consumed in the state goes to crop production. The CME contract will help to create a forward curve, I love these terms, so users can hedge future price risk, the Bourse said. What we really wanted to be able to do was firstly to provide clear and transparent rules-based information to the marketplace, said Patrick Wolf, a senior manager for NASDAQ Global Indexes. All righty. Understand that is in response to what everyone knows, everybody who is in power, the powers that be, all understand where we are headed. And they're all going to try and get super rich off of people's misery and, need for basic things like water and air and food. Yeah. Yes, Hapsutaki, that's true. Uh, didn't California already let Nestle rape their water tables and reservoirs? Yes, they did. They did. And then we had a really long drought, and now we're getting less snowfall than ever. And the water, the aquifers are being drained because they are not being replenished. Ask the Animal says, time to get your desert primitive living skills together. Maybe we need hydration suits like Dune, right? Like maybe we need to recycle our own hydration or our own evaporation, sweat, etc. What am I trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say. Buy life straws and have them in your bug out bag. Good advice, Sandy. Yep, Hapsutaki, I immediately found a news article from last year titled Nestle is still taking national forest water for its Arrowhead label with Fed's help, right? And then, but all these trees, the brush is so dried out. The land is really dry, and the wildfires come and just burn everything up. I wonder why. Alexei Kuperinin, Nestle's CEO, said water is not a human right. That's right. That's exactly what he said. Water is not a human right. Take that and put it on the stock exchange. Okay. Lastly, I'm going to finish with this. This is just, I can't read this whole thing because there are a lot of like pretty intense and elaborate math equations in this abstract or in this paper. But what I want to do is just kind of cover the meat of the gist of this in the beginning: deforestation and world population sustainability. So someone listed this in the comment section. I can't remember who, and I'm sorry I don't remember. Hold on, maybe I can let you know. Maybe I can let you know. I don't know. Oh, yes. Sultan Bev. Is that right? This is Sultan Bev listed this. Okay. Yeah, Sultan Bev, thank you for this. In this paper, we afford a quantitative analysis of the sustainability of current world population growth in relation to the parallel deforestation process, adopting a statistical point of view. We consider a simplified model based on a stochastic growth process driven by a continuous time random walk, which depicts the technological evolution of humankind in conjunction with a deterministic generalized logistic model for humans-forest interaction. And we evaluate the probability of avoiding the self-destruction of our civilization. Based on the current resource consumption rates, I mean, if you guys didn't follow that or couldn't follow that, I think most of you could. What I've already said, but they're going to get to the point right here. Based on the current resource consumption rates and best estimate of technological rate growth, our study shows that we have a very low probability, less than 10% in the most optimistic estimate. So the optimistic estimate is less than 10%. We have a very low probability to survive without facing a catastrophic collapse. And that, if you want to search this, it's in nature.com, scientific reports, deforestation and world population sustainability. They go on to spell it out. Basically, at the rate of our technological progress, our resource consumption, our deforestation will lead to collapse, and there is less than 10% chance that we avoid collapse. So in the 90 percentile that we will be collapsing. That is what they have concluded. Did they decide on a time when that was going to happen? Let me see if they decided on a time. They're looking at it looks like their time values are very long. Like 100 years, right? I'm seeing some graphs here that are this graph, maybe I can show you this graph. So they're seeing a peak at 2100. Here, this is going straight down from the year 2000, but into the year 2100 and beyond. Deforestation and world population sustainability, right? So basically, it's just a downward trend. And they said that's not necessarily how it's going to look. Like, it's not going to look like a smooth line down. It could just be a straight up drop off all the way down. So that's just deforestation in itself, right? They're not even talking about climate change or other factors. Hey guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and you can support the channel. The links below, PayPal, Patreon, Square. Also, if you'd like to watch the live streams, you can watch the live streams on my Patreon channel. You can subscribe for as little as $1. So hopefully I will see you over there.